Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Tuesday, May 13th. It is 6:26 right now. We have a market opening up in about 4 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. Just got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. Uh, Perfect. Let me go ahead and start marking up liquidity over here. On to the 10-minute. Down to the 1 minute. Looks like we're good to go. So, all right, guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, May 13th. It is 6:29 right now. We have market opening up in about 30 seconds. Breakout for today is going to be a sell if anybody's looking to take that. ATR is currently 13 right now, so we'll see what happens here in a few. Looking at current price, looks like we might have some sort of range here, just like yesterday. So I mentioned I was going to mark this up just so that we have an idea of like where price may possibly bounce if it does end up bouncing around this area. Got that lined up right there. So we are currently in a consolidation range at the moment. Market is now open. So like I said, direction for the breakout today is a sell. So we'll go ahead and follow that. Not in the position, but per usual, we'll just follow that and see where price ends up going. So price came down right here on open about 33 points. Come back and take a look at that a little later. So, like I said yesterday, I was going to focus on this range here, guys. Price is still respecting this range. So, I'm going to keep watching out for this range because this is kind of what we've been getting caught in and getting screwed over with, um, throughout the past couple weeks. So, we'll we'll follow through with this and we'll see how price goes around this area. If it stays within this area, obviously it's not an area to trade. You can see right here, price is respecting the range pretty much perfectly at the moment. So we'll just give it some time. There's no rush here. we're not going to rush into any positions, even if the position looks really good. I mean, it's really tricky. Like yesterday's entry looked perfect, and then we ended up getting caught up in that range. So, all right, we'll see what happens in a few. So let's see who's here so far. Morning, Maria. Morning, Christian. Morning, Daniel. Morning, Steven. Morning, Sam. Morning, everybody. All right, market is now open, guys. Breakout for today was a sell. Look, as you guys can see, our price is not really doing too much. Breakout is currently pushing in profit. It's almost to its TP right there. But again, like I said, see how price is stuck within this range. I mentioned yesterday I was going to mark this up, the range that we can identify where price is likely to bounce off and get stuck at. And it's pretty much stuck at where we expected it to be within this range from this morning. So price broke below. Looks like the breakout hit full TP. If you guys did take the breakout right there, full TP for 50 points. So breakout's been on a pretty nice win streak for this week so far. For yesterday and today, both breakouts hit full TP for 50 points. We'll keep looking for opportunities here. This liquidity here just got hit. So we'll see if price ends up pushing away from this area or if it stays within this range. You guys can see the range right here. So this is a smaller range. Price pulled into this range around 538. And it's pretty much just it's been going back and forth between this area here. Price pushed out of here. I think there was news at 5:30. We had CPI news today. Yeah, so it's CPI news right here at 5:30. I'll mark that up. It's probably this big candle right here. Yeah, it was. So the CPI news lines up with the Asia low right there. And that's all the news for today. So that's all the new CPI data for today. And then again, right here, we have price kind of just going back and forth between this range. Hey, Ben, morning. All right, so I'm glad I drew up this range here so that we can kind of see where price is stuck. If I drew this range up yesterday, we probably wouldn't have gotten caught in that loss from yesterday because price has been respecting the range. This is kind of where price has been sitting. The ATR is currently at 22, so it's not very high. It's actually really low for open. And just a 7 for now. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference because the market hasn't really changed too much. I can just leave it at 14. The reason why we changed it to 7 in the past was because the volatility was a lot lower, but it's not really lower here. It's pretty much the same. So we'll see where we go from here. So there we go. Price drops lower from this range. And it pulls right back into the range there. See how price pulls below a little bit and pulls back up. You don't want to be trading in a range, guys. So if you want to take trades, I would probably wait for price to push away from this area, maybe down here, or look for price to push above up here, right? You don't really want to trade within this middle area right here, because that's where you get caught in the chop. Every loss we took for the past week or two was because we got caught in the chop, right? You guys don't understand what that means, you get caught in this choppy movement. It doesn't matter if you take a buy or a sell. You can take a sell right here, chase this down, and then price chops back up like it's doing right there. Or price pushes up and you get caught in the chop, price pushes back down. So it doesn't really matter which direction you guys are trading in. I mean, it's easy to get caught in the chop either way. This isn't the type of market you want to trade in. When market is choppy like this, you just want to sit out of the market. Because again, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're taking a buy or a sell. Your analysis could be perfect, but because market is choppy, it'll stop you out because it'll pull right back in the opposite direction. So, the analysis kind of goes out the window here. Unless you're trading a sideways strategy. So a sideways strategy that, we used to use in the past is a high-level momentum scalp. So if this here closes with a buy signal, breaks and closes past pivots 1 and 2, that's a high-level momentum scalp. This here would be an entry for a buy. And the way that this strategy works is you're trading in the chop. So like the fake out and then it chops back up. And this is where you take that buy back into the range, right? Not what I recommend, but for those of you who are familiar with the high-level momentum scalp strategy, I created this strategy about I think 3 or 4 years ago. during December when the market was slow and choppy. So we put this together because this isn't something new. So, don't worry about this type of market, guys, because this market isn't something new. It's a market that usually happens in the summer and it happens in the winter. It's usually when volatility is low. Right now, volatility is pretty low. ATR is at 26, right? This isn't normal. We're in the middle of May, so volatility should be pretty decently high, 30, 40 around there. And then it starts to slow down closer to like mid-June when summer starts. So there's nothing wrong with this type of market. It's just a choppy market. It's not a good market to trade directional strategies in. The MPS V2 is a directional strategy. So in order for MPS V2 to work, we need markets to be moving directional like this, right? To the upside or to the downside. It doesn't matter which direction, but we need it to be moving directional. Right here, price is choppy. So in a situation like this, you'd be applying a sideways strategy. And we have sideways strategies. They're just, for me personally, I don't really like sideways strategies because, like I said, it doesn't matter how good your analysis is. You can still get caught in the chop, even if you're trading sideways movements. I think that the best way to trade these sideways strategies is catching the fake outs. It's probably gonna be the best thing. One thing that I started to kind of think about with the MPS V2 guys is there's a way to tighten the stop loss. It's just going to be a little tricky with depending on how the volatility is. So like for this type of market, it's going to be hard. Like for example, there's an MPS V2 setting up right here, guys. And I'll just show you an example of what I mean about the TP stop loss. So what I would do here is, this wouldn't be a good example because the candle is pretty big. But what I would do here in a situation, if I was to take this entry, is I would put my stop loss actually at the end of the entry candle. This one wouldn't work because the candle's too big. So there's a bunch of reasons why this entry would not work. For one, there is price is currently at a red flag, right? It's at news price, which is the CPI data news, and it's also at the sessions. Another reason why this trade wouldn't be good is because this entry candle is too big. Like I marked up over here with the 30 points. See how this candle is bigger than the stop loss? You don't want to take a trade like that because when you have a big candle like this, price is either going to retrace down to the halfway mark and then push back up. It's either going to retrace to the entire candle and push back up. So this means it could stop you out before it hits your TP, or it can do a full-on reversal from here, right? It could come down and just go straight down below. So there's a ton of reasons why not to take this trade. For one, the candle's too big. For two, it's at the sessions. And for three, it is at the news price. So just a lot of reasons there not to take the trade. If I do see another example, I'll mark it up for you guys. But basically, what I've been looking at is, whenever we take these MPS V2s, when the trade hits, it usually doesn't retrace at all, right? Or it traces just a little bit. If it's a perfect entry, it doesn't retrace at all. So what I was thinking was to put my stop loss at basically the lower of the high, the end of the entry candle. And when I see an example here, I'll show you guys. I just don't see an example here right now. And here's opening price. Mark that up real quick. Right there. So I think we have an example from this previous MPS V2. So for example, right here, see we have a sell signal, retracement, continuation to the downside. Okay, so this is actually a perfect example. So like I said, normally we would do a 30-31 to 1, right? Actually, this is not a good example because this thing didn't actually push down. This is pre-market, so it's a little too slow. But I was going to put the stop loss at the high of this candle. So let me just mark this up real quick. So instead of having the stop loss at 30 points, I would have the stop loss right there really tight at about 10 points. And that's how I would set this up. So like we'd go for basically 3 to 1 or 1 to 3. When we have another entry come up and it's not one that I'm going to take, I'll mark it up and I'll show you guys that as an example. Because in that situation, we can minimize losses like way more than we would normally. Exactly, yeah. Adam said it reduces your risk, yeah. So instead of taking the full stop loss, you would take more of a partial stop. The only problem when doing something like that, Adam, is for a market like this, right? Because the market's so slow, The ATR is like at 25. So you might get something like this. Like for example, this entry here, it's probably gonna hit TP, I think. Okay, so like this right here, for example. This entry is hitting. I know this candle here is too big, so the stop loss would actually be farther out. But say for example, this stop loss, like say this candle was just to the body, right? Like just to this green area right here. See how the market's choppy? This would stop you out before it hits your TP. But then again, you'd have a smaller stop loss and a bigger target. So whenever you win, you make more profit than you would lose. So it reduces your risk and it provides higher profitability. So like for on some losses, you'll have smaller losses and bigger wins. Versus having like an equal. The equal works well when there's a high win rate. Like right now, the win rate's kind of low, is not as how it should be because of the choppiness of the market. But it'll allow you to. The only downside is that you're going to lose more trades though, because if your stop loss is that tight, you're probably going to lose more trades. But in the long run, you're going to be making more profit, if that makes sense. So again, if I see another example, I'll show you guys, but there's just no examples here right now. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's fine, guys. Don't do it. It's just an idea that I kind of put together. I was trying to figure out how can I minimize the risk with the trades because obviously these trades are just not moving so smooth for now, at least. So here's the MPSV2 that came up just a while ago, guys. This one hit full TP. I didn't take this trade. There's too many red flags here. So there was a buy signal, price retraced down. This candle over here was huge, and then it pushed. I forgot who mentioned. Did you mention this the other day, Daniel? I remember someone mentioned that when there's a high level momentum scalp that happens prior, it almost always hits. Yeah, you mentioned that, right, Daniel? Yeah. So there's another example right there. Daniel mentioned this yesterday. He spotted this pattern when he sees a high level momentum scalp before it and it's followed by an MPSV2, it tends to typically hit. So here we go. Price is still stuck within the range, guys. So like, I mentioned before, this is, nothing's really changed here, right? Price is still stuck within this range. This is what we've been worried about for past couple of weeks now. This is just how the market is right now. It's not a directional market. We're in a sideways market. Nice. So Tarek took that trade right there. Solid work, Tarek. I'm catching that one. Talanji said he took it as well with half size, anticipating a liquidity grab. Nice, nice. All right, so Tarek and Talanji both caught that trade right there. It looked like a good trade. Like for me, it looked like a good trade because there was the good setup. The only thing was there was like way too many red flags there. But it doesn't. I feel like the red flags here don't really matter as much because of the choppiness. So like, you can have a perfect setup. Like yesterday's setup was perfect, right? Five confluences, pushed to the upside. We had tariff news on our side, and it still hit stop loss. So in a situation like this, it's you're pretty much taking the same amount of risk as you would on a good entry. So we'll see. We'll keep following through, and we'll kind of see what's to come here. It's just a matter of time until this starts to hopefully smoothen out. I say that with a grain of salt because like this thing hasn't really been smoothing out lately. All right, so we're back in the range right here, guys. No sell signal yet. We got some team profits over here. We have Tarek locked in a profit of 1,343 right there. Nice work, Tarek. Yeah, solid move on that trade. So we got one trade that came up right here. I mean, pretty much nothing, two trades actually. So we had the breakout that hit today, breakout for a sell, hit full TP for 50 points. And then we had this one over here. This was an MPSV2 for a buy. There was a lot of red flags though, so not one that I would personally, be looking to take, but a couple people here did take it, Target, Talanji. Solid work right there. So if you look over here at the market profile, you guys can actually see the range here. The big range. So I drew that range on mine, so you can see over here, we have the big range, and then I have the smaller range in between. I'm going to keep marking up the high lows right here so we can kind of identify where fake outs may happen and whatnot. So I was hoping we get a sell signal here. So if we had a sell signal that pushed down right here and then have this push down lower. So I was hoping we'd get a sell signal up here in this area, retrace and come down lower from here. Because if we had something like this, then we would have the ability to reach the liquidity down here. The problem with this here now that price is pushing down is if we get an MPSV2 right here, we may get a push down to liquidity, but it may fake out right here and pull back up. That's why I think this may be tricky if anybody's looking to take this here for MPSV2. It's the same type of setup that I was looking for yesterday. So let's take a look at the market profile here. If price stays below, we may have price. So if price does break below, we would ideally want to see it come down lower, or else it's going to pull back into the range, because you guys can see the range right here. It's pretty much ranging from this end to this end down here, right? That's the range right here down the middle. So that's the 1 minute market profile. You can see price is pushing right back up into the range. So it came down, bounced off the lower range, pushed right back up. Looking over here on the 30 minute, 30 minutes is pretty obvious too. You can see right here, the range from today is kind of similar to the range from yesterday. If you guys look, price hasn't really gone anywhere, right? Hasn't really gone anywhere. It's still stuck within this range. We do have a upwards rejection right there off the point of, or sorry, the value low. Looking at the 1 hour, same thing here. See how this hasn't gone anywhere? It's not a good market to trade in right now, guys. I mean, you can catch trades, but the odds of you getting caught in some sort of mess is likely. Right here too on the volume profile. So we have an MPSV2 setting up right here. I think this is going to be a tricky entry. If anybody wants to take this, feel free to take it. I'll mark it up for you guys. I'm going to sit out on this one here. It's at this lower point of the range. I don't want to get caught in this chop here like I did yesterday. So no entry there yet. Price needs to close below this this black line right here. So not quite. Got close, but not quite. Possibly on this next candle here. So we're having a possible rejection off the top end here for the 1 minute market profile. Here on the 30 minute, we do have a rejection right there off the value low as well. 1 hour, we have a rejection right there off the value low. Volume profile, we have rejection right there off the point of control. Clean chart over here, we have a rejection right here off the 42,350 price point. You can see over here, price is going back and forth between this middle area. So we do have some confluences here for a sell. Yeah, this looks like it could actually be a pretty decent sell if it closed below it, but it still hasn't closed below that line there. The thing that I don't like though is that price here is going back and forth, right? I mean, we probably won't even get an entry here. So This here looks like a really good setup. It looks kind of similar to yesterday's setup. The only thing is that we're right at this lower range. And price here is starting to consolidate in range. So you don't really want to take trades when this happens, right? This is exactly what happened yesterday, except the entry came up. This over here, the entry didn't come up yet. So the candle needs to close below this black line. Yeah, it's a tempting entry because there were so many confluences right there for a sell. But again, I don't like being stuck within this area right here. And there we go. We're stuck in the range again, guys. No entry there. Candle never came back down below and closed below the black line. Yeah, looks like we're gonna wait again for the next setup. I prefer to take buys here though. I don't really like to like ideally the sells here don't really look super great. If you look here on the higher time frames, everything's kind of pointing towards the upside. The only thing is the lower time frames are pointing, they're starting to flip to the downside though. So the 4 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute time frame, all bullish, 10-minute, 5-minute, 1 minute, all bearish right here. We get a buy signal right there, no entry yet. Yeah, Brock said we're just about to shoot past the high, it seems. Solange said definitely prefer buys. Brock said also NQ got called upwards, not sure by who. Sam said 1 minute, 5-minute, both bullish for me. Price may go down only to get liquidity. I mean, structure is bullish. Yeah, same here. I agree. The higher time frames for me are bullish. The 1 in 5, the one is pretty much neutral for me. It's like right down the middle. The 5-minute over here is still bearish. Price came down, went consolidated sideways, but the pivots are still indicating price to come down lower. However, the trend meter down here is blue, so this indicates that the trend is shifting. So you can see over here on the 5-minute, for me here, price was below, consolidated here for a little bit, but it stayed below. However, the trend meter down below here is turning blue. It's going from red to blue, so this might be shifting back to the upside, possibly, unless it bounces off the pivots again right here and comes back lower. But I mean, who knows, right? We don't really know, but we don't know what's going to happen next. It's tricky because right here, price is stuck within the range on the 1 minute, and it can easily just come back down lower. We just want to get out of this middle area right here, guys. So just keep that in mind. You don't really want to trade within this middle area. You can see over here the buys here pretty much got invalidated. So the sells got invalidated, the buys got invalidated. The sells here trying to come back and control and push price back down lower. But I mean, it wouldn't really matter because like I said, if price pushes below here, it could just fake out and pull back up. Just like it did right here. Let's see, Sam said he's watching for a 42,275 liquidity sweep. So he's looking for a sweep right here off my low. So basically off that liquidity, what Sam's looking for is looking for price to come down, grab liquidity, then come back up into the range, which I could see happening. I'm glad I drew the range this morning. So I drew this before the market even opened. Before we started trading today, I drew this range here, and you can see here that price is respecting it perfectly. If you look over here on the market profile, it's also respecting it perfectly. Very similar to my range. My range just a little farther out, and I have a little more levels. I have the mid level here, and I have the upper level right here. So pretty much exactly how the market profile looks right here. It's just this one doesn't include the middle level. So if I was to take this middle level off, that's what it's looking like, which is cleaner, but I do like the middle level because you can see the fake outs between this middle zone right here. Price pulled up, fake out, came right here, faked out, and now it's right here down the middle. I mean, you can see the consolidation range on any time frame. Doesn't matter what time frame you're trading on, 1 minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute, etc. 1 hour. You can see the range here is still validated, right? On the 1 hour, the price actually hasn't reached this lower range yet. See how price hasn't reached this lower point? So this is why sells might be okay here because price has reached the top end. It hasn't reached its lower end yet. And there we go. Its price pushes back up into the range. So no rush here, guys. No need to force anything. If you see something good, then take it. If you guys don't see anything good, then don't take it. Just hold off because you can see prices respecting this range here. I drew this here before market opened up. We had no idea price was going to stay within this range, but price did. So I marked this up right here before market even opened up. I marked it up right here. I marked it up right here, and I marked it up right here. Market opened right here at 6:30. And you can see the opening candle respected this point. It came back down, respected this point, and it's just going back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, Daniel said MPSV2 back at all these red flags again. So there's an MPSV2 that just came up right there, guys, that Daniel just mentioned. But again, there's just all these red flags. And also the candle was kind of gapped up a little bit right there. So MPSV2 again right there for a buy. And you can see right here that price is pushing up to its TP. We had a buy signal here, retracement. This green candle closed above this momentum signal, and then it pushed up. The only problem here is we had opening price, the blue line. We had the sessions right here at news price, making it a red flag type entry. It's also at the top range right here. So you can see at the top range price pushed up, and then now it's starting to reject back down. Market's a mess, guys. Honestly, it's a mess. For me, I'm on the very conservative side. So unless I see something that's really, really good, I mean, the trade yesterday looked really, really good. A lot of us took it, but I'm going to stick to those types of trades. Talanji said CPI messed us up. Yeah, the CPI here kind of threw us off. So the CPI news is right here, guys. This big green candle, and this created a big spike. And then it came back down. And then when it came back down, it just got stuck in this range down here. There's no other catalyst really pushing price around. Let's check out CNBC real quick. I don't think there's any breaking news here. I mean, not really. So let's see what are the top news here. So it says S&P is a little change as stocks look to extend Monday's big rally. Yeah, not really too much here. S&P 500 opens near the flat line. China lifts ban against Boeing. CPI less than expected in April. All right, so we got the MPSV2 there still running, guys. Basically a break and retest of that area right there. We got liquidity right there. Price pushes up any higher. So you can see right here, price is trying to get through, but it's having trouble getting past this range right here, this upper range. Sam said, Sean, yesterday after my stop loss price sold off, man, after we closed the session, so pissed. I know, right? It kept pushing. So Sam got in this trade right here for 25 points and he got out already. Sam got right there, in and out for 25. Just went for that liquidity right there. All right, so this is an example. So again, earlier, guys, how I mentioned, if you want to tighten your stop loss, I would tighten it right here to the low of this candle. So instead of the full 30-point stop loss, it'd be at 27. And you can see right here that this would, if and when this does hit TP, you would get more profit than your risk involved. So this would, I mean, this is going to be really tight because it's going to be at 27. But if you have a candle that's a lot smaller, that's like 10 points or like 15 points, then that's going to save you a lot more. Because a lot of times you'll have candles like that. You'll have like a small green candle and then all of a sudden it just skyrockets, right? All right. Nick said, good idea. The session magnet strikes again. I know, right? So like I said before, these sessions act as a magnet, just like Nick mentioned. Price, this is why we don't like to take trades around the sessions because it acts as a magnet, right? See how price with the entry came up right here, price pushed above and just keeps getting pulled back to the session right here, pulled back, etc. It just acts as a magnet. So we'll see. But yeah, you guys can see here, there's not really too much going on. This trade's been running for a long time. It's a good thing you got out right there, Sam, for 25 points. I'm thinking, well, I mean, the ATR is at 25, so that was actually a smart move, Sam, on your end. Because the ATR is a lot lower. So 25 probably would have been a better number versus the 30 because the volatility here is so low. So we still got to pay attention to the ATR, guys. If this goes below 20, like I did yesterday, that's when you can start to anticipate a very, very slow market. Because that happens, right? It's inevitable. Sometimes you're gonna have some very, very slow days, and there's just nothing you can really do about it. It's just, it's the type of market that we're in. Not very stable. We'll have some days where they're very high volatility when like tariff news comes out and stuff like that. But there really isn't much news today to really follow. I mean, aside from the CPI data, so this is annual inflation rate hit 2.3% in April, less than expected, and lowest since 2021. So I mean, that's good. Consumer price index rose seasonally adjusted 0.2 for the month, putting 12-month average at 2.3 for CPI. Egg prices tumbled, which is good. So yeah, you can see here that the inflation is starting to kind of flatten out a little bit or slow down at least. Here's the other breaking news. Trump tariffs face major legal hurdle as federal trade court hears challenge. Okay. So that's kind of pointless. It's just saying that, all the tariffs that Trump kind of put up was illegal. And I don't disagree with that. All right, so this trade's still technically running if you're going for the full 30 or if you were. Ideally, I'd probably get out at the ATR. ATR is now down to 23, so I think 25 would have been the key price point right there. But let's just go back to my range here. So look at my range here, guys. Price is still stuck within the range. Nothing has really changed here, right? It's still stuck within this area. So again, like I said, if you want to take some trades, I would probably wait for it to push out of this area above it or push below it. This is really going to test a lot of people's patience, right? Because you might be on the session all day and you might not even get an entry. I'm okay with that, right? Right now, I'm kind of in a rut right now with my trades, of course, but it's all part of the game, right? That's just how the market works sometimes. We had some pretty good win streaks and we've had a pretty good year overall so far. This is just one of those weeks and one of those months where you kind of have to weather the storm. Trading is not going to be perfect every single day or every single month or even every single year. There's going to be some years where trading is just bad. This year's been pretty great so far. It's just past couple of weeks have been kind of shit market, right? I think that's the better term to say for the month of April because we had all the tariff news causing the crazy price movement, and then over here in May we have a lot of consolidation and sideways move, which is not really what I was expecting for Trump, right? When Trump became president or before he was president, we were expecting a lot more, or we were expecting the market to be volatile all throughout the year. This type of market is kind of what we experienced the previous couple years. So when Biden was president, the market was like this for like the whole year. And you can only imagine how frustrating it was trading during a Biden era. It was just It was worse than this actually. So at least for this, we have a big range. When Biden was president, the ATR was down to like 15. It was like 12 to 15. So it would still go sideways, but it would be half the size of this. Our TPs used to be 10 points because there just wasn't enough volatility to catch the bigger moves. So this isn't necessarily like a horrible, horrible market. It's not a good market, but it's not a horrible market. So you just got to keep that you got to keep that in mind when you guys are looking at these types of markets, because I know this market looks like it may suck, but trust me, we've been in worse markets before. At least trades are coming up and like some of them are hitting as time goes along. It's just the only problem here is the volatility is low. Yeah, Brock said had an early entry and he left early. Nice. Tarek said hopefully that will get the yeah, the Fed to cut soon. Yeah, I think so. I think next month we might get a quarter cut possibly. If not next month, it's going to happen the month after. I think by summer for sure, we're going to get a quarter cut for the interest rate. I mean, it has to. They can't keep it at where it's at. I also feel like the Fed doesn't want to they don't want to listen to Trump. So like I think if Trump stops asking for it, then they'll cut it. So we'll see. If he stops demanding it, I think we'll probably get that cut by June. If he continues to demand it, they'll probably push it out another month, maybe till July. I know, Stern said your eggs got cheaper. Should go get them. Yeah, I'm gonna stock up on some eggs now that they're cheaper. If you guys, I don't know if you guys will, everyone should have experienced that. Probably not you guys over there in the UK and in Europe, but here in the US, the eggs were crazy. Dozen eggs were like 20 bucks. So price of eggs are coming down. Uh, just inflation in general. I think also with the tariff news, that's helping as well. So the CPI data for next month will probably be a lot lower. I think so. Here's my guess. If the tariff stuff goes as planned and China and the US come to a deal, I think inflation will get lower and then interest rates will drop by next month or July. Like that's kind of my take on it, right? I think because the tariff stuff happened last month, they couldn't really make any changes. But I think this last month's data kind of gives the indication that we're actually doing okay. Let's see, Brock said, I think based on the 1 hour, we should only take MPS V2s till we take out the high at 42,563. But just my take for our review correction here. I mean, who really knows what price will do? Yeah, and I agree with you too, Brock, 100%. So let's go back to the 1 hour here. So we do have a nice rejection right here off this lower value low, right? So Brock is expecting price to push up higher, which I agree with. I think so. Um, this is the current range for right now, right? You can see, so for two, let me just draw a line right here. Okay, so if you just focus on this area right here, you can see the 1 hour has already established its lower range, right? So if you look over here, price faked out above, faked out below, break and retest, and now it's pushing up higher. It's like a W pattern. But this is the 30 minutes, sorry. I mean, either way, it's still the same thing. If you cut this off here, you can see fake out, break and retest, continuation, basically a W pattern right there for the 30-minute time frame. If we go in the 1 hour, it's for the most part very similar, right? Let me cut this off right here. Faked out right there, and it looks like price is trying to push up higher. So I agree with you right there, Brock. I think buys here do look good. It's rejecting right here off the value low for break and retest. Possibility of a push up higher to the value high right there. But like you said, who really knows? I mean, just because the analysis and the patterns there look good, anything can happen to cause price to spike to the downside. So I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, but that's a good way to analyze the direction of market. It's always good to have some sort of bias here. We would need to get that sell signal for retracement though. So like we said earlier, we need to get that sell signal for retracement and then continuation back to the upside. The thing with this here, if you look at it from a bigger picture, or if you just kind of zoom out a little bit, price hasn't left this range, right? I drew this range here before market opened up. So we're currently at 711 right now. So we've been in this range for well over, I'll mark it up for you guys so you guys can see. So price broke into the range right here, faked out and came back and continued going. It only pushed up here because of the CPI data. But if you measure it from right here, price has actually been in this range for about 2 hours now. So that's a long time for price to be sitting in a range, pre-market into open. CJ said during Biden, the market movement was like watching paint dry. Yeah, I know, it was horrible. It's crazy. Surin said now we have vaccinated eggs. Christian said there were people renting their chickens. $20 for eggs. I know, it's crazy. All right, so there we go. As price pushes up. So this is pretty much what we were that's pretty much what we were waiting for. Surin over here says he would expect it to hit London high, which I agree. Price can push up to that London high. That London high is going to line up with the 1 hour and the 30-minute value high as well up here. So I can see that London high getting hit. So there goes your analysis right there, Barack, for the bullish push to the upside. Okay, now that we got price up here, we need to have some sort of confirmation higher, right? So let's see if this here, let's see if it continues higher from this point. This is a key area. So like looking at this here, this is a key area to look for whether this is going to be a liquidity grab or if it's going to be a continuation to the upside. So there's two things that may happen here. This can be a liquidity sweep or liquidity grab, whatever you guys want to call it. And it might pull back into the range, or this could be a break and retest of liquidity and it can continue climbing higher from there. We don't know for sure, but we'll kind of play by ear and see what happens here as price continues to move along. Let's see. Sam said India as a quad friend of US increased retaliation tariff. Now, let's see. I didn't see the news for that, but we'll see. It should be over here. Okay, I see Trump announces 600 billion Saudi investment commitment. Okay, I see. Let's see what that is. US and Saudi signing defense sales agreement. Okay. So we had a huge bullish push right here, guys. So it looks like we're finally out of this range. Like I said earlier, prices at this area of liquidity was either going to push above or it's going to come back down. Looks like price is trying to push up to that area of London high up there. So price has pretty much reached the target that we talked about earlier, guys. Almost. The 1 hour hasn't reached it yet, but the 30-minute over here did reach it, and it may push up higher from here. One-minute market profile, price has established the range here. So price is at the upper end of the range now. And this thing will probably pull back down from where it's currently at. It's at that value high, price tapped it, and now it's coming back down. So this looks like it could be a liquidity sweep, basically a fake out right there. Price pushed up, made people think price was going to push up higher. Now it's going to come back down and stop everybody out. Or we'll see. This might be the break and retest. So like I said earlier, this could be the break and retest. It still hasn't confirmed yet. So this could either be the break and retest I talked about, or it can be a fake out and continuation back down. That's the key thing about looking at these liquidity levels is identifying it as a possible fake out area. And there's gaps everywhere right here, guys. So this is kind of yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's a mess. There's just gaps everywhere from all the crazy movement that happened pre-market and from the news. Yeah, because this gap happened over here. This was at like 3 in the morning. More gaps over here. That's not going to be very useful. Okay, so it looks like the break and retest here is playing through. Price is pushing up, might push up to that area of liquidity up there. We'll see if the sweep happens around this area or if it continues to climb up higher. Damn, this thing's pushing up super high right now. So this is what I mean about the market being very unpredictable. So we were stuck in this range. Price is finally out of this area. The thing that I would be worried about, chasing this to the upside is the reversal back to the downside because this thing is not going to push up forever. Yeah, Daniel said left us at the bus stop for sure. Yeah, there just was no retracement there. So I was hoping like what I was looking for here was a possible sell signal on this red candle. This is kind of what I was hoping for. I was hoping for price to come up, come down, retrace back a little bit with a sell signal, and then continuation back to the upside, where we can catch it right here down the middle. But it's all good. Let's see. Brock said, "Man, I forced an MPS V2 continuation without opposite criteria. Illegal, but was willing to risk it." Yeah, so Brock actually got in right here at the V1 candle. So he got in on this continuation pattern. It's basically an MPS V2 without the retracement, right? So price pushed up, retracement, continuation right there. We had the buy signal here, but the MPS V2 already came up earlier over here. Um, the thing with this setup here is that there's nothing wrong with this because initially when we were first testing the strategy, we weren't doing one per momentum, right? We were doing multiple ones. So yeah, I mean, this was like one of the original MPS V2 models that we had before. We had like basically whenever price would pull back and continue, there'd be another opportunity for entry there. And that's literally what happened here. And then Talanji said it's an A plus 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 entry. Yeah, basically, because the A plus plus happened right here, actually. Or it was one of these right here, basically, and this would be like an A plus plus that happened way down the line. So, and here it goes, price fakes out, price came up, grab liquidity, and it's pulling right back into the range below down here. Now there is a new high there. So here we go as it comes back into the range, guys. There's not enough for it to keep pushing. That's so I think the thing that you want to focus on now, guys, in this type of market that we're in, focus on the overextension. So focus on the overextension and then possible, reversal to the downside, like this right here, right? There's a reversal pattern right there, a V1 variation, V1 right there, double body rejection off this high, and then price would have came down. So this would have been a V1 variation entry for those of you who have been following that or still like to follow that. I mean, the entry still worked perfectly fine. You can see there's another V1 right here too. If you catch those tops and bottoms. Yeah, Danielson might give us an entry with target back to open. Yeah, so the target right here is going to be back to open, like Daniel mentioned, this blue line right here. That's kind of what we're expecting price to push down to, if possible. All right, now we wait. Only problem here is going to be these red flags, of course. Got all these red flags right here. So if we get that MPSV2 right here, I think it's going to cut into the red flags. Yeah, unfortunately. So it's looking a little messy right here. Just looking at the market profile, just kind of seeing where price is. I mean, it's respecting the range though. So the same range that I marked up here on my own chart, this is the range that we marked up. Price basically pushed above here, faked out, came right back down. And here he goes, price pushes right back up. No entry there. Let's see, Brock said, I'm too paranoid with sells considering we briefly left the demand. Yeah, I think this, I mean, obviously I would ideally like to take buys here because, and we have all these red flags down here. The only problem with my fear of buys here is that we have red flags up here, and then also price is a bit overextended. I mean, it looks like price is just going to range within this area now. So it might just kind of sit around this area up here, possibly. All right. Don't really got too much going on here. Looks like we might get a buy signal continuation to the upside. The ATR is not horrible right now. I mean, it's not great. It's at 26, but it's not. I'm glad it's not at 20. So I'm hoping it stays above like 25. Because if it drops down to 20, I think we're gonna get a slow market. It's probably gonna, this is a range here. We consider this a range, but if it gets too low and it starts to just go literally sideways like this, then that's gonna be consolidation. We don't want that. I mean, we're already struggling with the range, so the consolidation is gonna make things just worse. So it looks like price here is kind of just sitting at this upper range. With no volatility. I'm glad it's not like yesterday, though. Yesterday we had just big wicks on both ends. It was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right here we have consolidation. There are some wicks, but they're not like huge wicks like yesterday. All right, market profile right here. Price is kind of just sitting right there at the point of control. That's like the midpoint. If it drops any lower, target area is going to be the value low down here. Looking at the 30-minute, right here, price is currently at the at point of control. It's actually doing opposite things here. We're going to have a new 30-minute candle in about 5 minutes. There's a possible MPSV2 here for a sell. Again, I think the sells here would be a little tricky. We'd have to close below this black line right here. Yeah, what a boring market. This market's got me yawning. Yeah, Barack, so the yawn indicator. All right, we got the buy signal now. No more sells here. The only problem is we're going to be right at the sessions, guys. Right there. So buy entry might set up here. The only problem again is that we're going to be stuck at the sessions. Rejection right there off the point of control on the 30 on the 1 minute time frame. Rejection right here off the 30 off the value high or value low. Rejection off the value low here on the 1 hour. Nothing on the volume profile. Clean chart right here, rejection off the whole number, 42,400. And rejection right here off the support level. So this is a possible setup for NPSV2 for a buy. The only issue here is that we're going to be stuck at the sessions like we talked about earlier, guys. Price action right here is not super great either. It's kind of moving very slow. It's not looking like we're going to get it here, guys. Yeah, it's not looking like it. We got about 5 seconds left on this candle. Nope. No entry there. Solange said, phone was kicking my ass. Yeah, I'm glad the phone was not kicking my ass right now. I'm pretty calm right now. I think I'm so bored of this market and I'm just too conservative at the moment where I'm not really getting that FOMO itch. I was hoping to get the buy there if it would come up, but I'm just not getting that FOMO right now, surprisingly. Ideally, I would want to like take a trade because I want to make back that loss from yesterday. But the yeah, it just hasn't kicked in for me. I think it's because I'm too familiar with this type of market now. This is the type of market we've been trading in for the past 2 weeks. I would say like maybe 2 weeks ago I would get FOMO here. I would probably want to take something like because I see movement. But I already know that, this type of markets, it's a type of market to trap a lot of people. You guys got to remember it's Trap Tuesday today as well. Um, if you guys have been trading with me for long enough, you guys know that these traps tend to be set up on Tuesdays, and this doesn't disappoint, right? You can see here all the traps were set up already. Trap Tuesday right here, fake out, push to the upside, fake out right there. There's just a lot of fake outs. We call it Trap Tuesday because you'll see a lot of fake outs on Tuesdays. I don't know why that's the case, but that always seems to be the case. Um, I don't know if it's because of the CPI data or whatnot, but for how many we've been trading live for like about 8 years now. For whatever reason, every Tuesday is always there seems to be traps that get placed around. Um, so it's like a good day to look for fake outs. And that's basically what's happening here. So if you look over here, if you just focus on this range right here, you can see how price pushed up, it faked out above, faked out below, faked out above, and then here we are back below, right? Um, it's if you're able to focus on the fake outs, then you'll be less inclined to jump into something that's bad. Here, let's see. I want to look at my stats now. I'm kind of curious, like from uh I typically take losses on Tuesdays. Usually not. I think we're good about like identifying the fake outs on those Tuesdays. So looking at the calendar, I was just kind of curious to see if I take losses on Tuesdays very often. Not very often. For a while, I was trying to figure out like what days do I suck on, right? So like that's the good thing about having the calendar here is because you can kind of figure out like what days you lose trades on. But there's no specific days that I lose trades on. It used to be Mondays and Fridays. Like Mondays and Fridays used to be the days where I'm like I always lose trades on those days, so I would just stop trading on those days. But looking at the calendar here, there's no prejudice to like what day I usually lose on. I lose just on random days, really. So I can't pinpoint a specific day where I shouldn't be trading. But for the longest time, I used to think that I always lost trades on Monday and Tuesday. Um, until I realized that those losing days were because of me. It wasn't necessarily because of the market. It was because on Monday I would FOMO because I want to get into my first trade for the week. And then on Fridays I would lose trades because I would get into FOMO to getting my last trade of the week. So now that I've gotten a little better with not FOMOing into trades, I realize that there's no specific days that I typically lose or I typically win on. Let's see, Barack said that buy solid if it comes, and if MPSV2 sell comes, I'll just reboot my system, reset my trigger happiness. Yeah, so there's a possible sell setting up right here, guys. There's a sell signal, retracement. If a red candle comes up like this one right here, this could be possible opportunity. I just don't like the price action here, if you guys can see. We're stuck in this range right now. Let me see how this will look with the setup for 30-30. The ATR right now is currently at 24, so I mean, 30-30 might be a long shot. If you guys are looking to take this here, let me go and take a look at the confluences. This candle is going to reject off the point of control. This is rejecting off the point of control. 1 hour is rejecting off the point of control. There's a rejection off the value high there. There's nothing here on the clean chart, and there's nothing here on the support resistance. So there's about 3 confluences right there for a sell. The entry is now active. Let me see. I don't think I would have liked how this candle here would have closed, because right here it looked like it closed like it was like down here and it pushed up at the last second. I don't like when the candles close like that. You guys have probably seen that before. So the trade is currently running in profit. I'm not in the position. I was a little tempted to maybe get into it, but looking at the price action here, I don't like how these candles are moving. And you can see how this candle right here closed. You know, if it closed like as a strong candle, like something like this or something like this, then I'd be a little more inclined to take it. But I can see over here that price was struggling to stay down. Kind of pushed down a little bit, pushed up. Then now it's kind of just flat right there. Let's see, Brock's a quick one, Sean. What would be the downside of allowing the sessions prices to terminate after it intersects the price in the future? Is the point still a major hold point after it's mitigated? For me personally, I think it is. Because what happens is, you know, like we talked about as it being magnet. So if you scroll back a little bit, so see how the London high was like set up right here and the Asia high, and then price came down to this point to retest it, and then it came back up. So if you look at this area right here, the Asia low point, right here, price continues to retest it. It tests it right there, tests it right there, right there, right there. So those certain areas that I would say that it's important. So for example, I think the London high over here is probably not going to be as important because it's so far out. So I think this London high acts more as like a high-end resistance, right? Kind of similar to like the New York right here. So I would say when it's set up like this, and this is kind of hard to see because it's so spread out, but if you look at this right here, this looks like a whole market range for the day. So I think this would be the upwards range. This would be the downwards range if price ever gets down this low. And this middle point is going to be important because this acts as a magnet. This is like the midpoint. So kind of similar to the point of control, right? If you look over here on the market profile, see how price has a high point, which is the value high. It has a low point, which is the value low. And it has a middle point, which is the point of control, which is where price tends to come back to. Pushes up, comes back to this middle area, goes back to that middle area. So it's creating some sort of range here in a sense. And that's why I like to, but if they're like kind of spread out, like for example, like say if we have a session right here and a session right here and a session right here, then in a situation like that, I would say those are less important. But because these are like so perfectly spaced out, I think these here would cause some sort of importance with regard to like, you know, they're going to be retested again in the future. Yeah, I know. I try to do the same thing, Brock. I always try to reduce the red flag count, but it's hard because they do have some sort of relevance. Like for example, here, price bounced off this session, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back down to this session right here. Right, as the next push point. All right, so with this MPSV2 still running, guys, it's been running for a while now. And this is why I don't like trading these low volatility markets. It's currently at 22 ATR because you get stuck in the trade for too long. I'm not in this position, but and I also planned on not taking this one because, like I said, the price action here wasn't super great. Candles were kind of small, slow and choppy. Let's see, breaking news. Sharon said Trump is speaking in Riyadh. Let me check that. Let's see. So the US sanctions a network smuggling Iranian oil to China. Microsoft is cutting 3% of all workers. US State Department, US imposed fresh Iran-related sanctions on shipping network. It says sent millions of barrels of Iranian oil to China. Yeah, US State Department illicit sale of oil from Iran helped fund Iranian weapons and Houthi attacks. Okay. So I think that'll affect probably oil, maybe not the YM or anything like that. Or maybe it'll affect it and push price down like it's doing right here. So the trade's still running right now, guys. It's been running for a while. Looks like it's about to hit TP right there. So here's another example of like how I would have made my stop loss a little tighter. So I wouldn't make it smaller than 10 because 10's it's pretty tight as is. But yeah, this is like one of those types of setups where I could or I would probably move my stop loss a little closer to like this entry candle. So the entry candle is right here, and then this would be the stop loss, and then this would be the entry running for 30 points. Looks like it's about to hit full TP right there. The MPS V2 looks like it's about to hit. It's really close to it. And full TP right there for that MPS V2, guys. So if you guys took that, nice work. Like I said, I think the setup here was it was actually a good setup now that I'm thinking back on it because your TP would have hit within the range. So I wouldn't be surprised here if it bounces off the range and it shoots right back up. But yeah, this is the MPS V2 right there for itself. Anybody caught that, nice work. If you guys didn't catch it, completely fine, guys. I didn't take it. Like I said, I'm still being a bit cautious here because of like this whole market that we're currently in. 740 right now. I'm hoping to see if we get another opportunity for entry. If we don't, not forced to take anything here. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want, so if you're on the more advanced side and you guys want to adjust your stop loss like this, then you guys can. Because the thing is, so for example, if you took a loss here, right? If price pushed up and it stopped you at 10 points, then that's fine. It stops you at 10 points. You can basically take 3 losses until you end up back at like a full loss for a 30-point loss. So just just something to think about if you guys want to adjust your risk here. It's not always going to work. You're probably going to hit your stops a lot more often than you would if you didn't move it. But at least this will allow you to minimize your risk tremendously, so you don't end up, taking a 30-point loss is fine. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you cut your losses sooner, it'll allow you to have more opportunities to trade more, right? Because for me, when I lose one trade, I lose 30 points. So I'm basically done trading for the day. If I can minimize my risk to where I'm losing 10 points, then I might have 2 opportunities to trade. And that's just the game. That's kind of the game there. It's mixing and matching your risk so that you can adapt with the market like this where it's super choppy and you might get stopped out a little more often than not. But then also lock in the full amount of profit that you need to keep yourself going. So nothing here yet, guys. 7:41, like I mentioned, we do have news coming up shortly. Or sorry, actually we don't. I thought we had news today. It's at 8 o'clock, I think. Yeah, but it's like low impact stuff. It's total household debt. So total household debt from last month was 18.04 trillion. That's crazy. That's crazy, but I'm not surprised, right? Everyone has debt. But 18 trillion debt, it's nuts. Crazy number, but no surprise there. All right, here we go. As price comes back to opening price down below. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get any entries here. If you look back, guys, okay, so looking at this here, you guys can see price has respected this range pretty much all session. So I'm going to try to mark up this range every morning. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to mark up a new range wherever we're currently at. As you can see here, that price is respecting this area. If we trade within the range, it's possible, right? So you can see over here, we had 3 entries that came up today for MPSV2. As long as we trade within the range, you should have no problems with your entries. Like for example, this one right here, full TP, this one right here, full TP, this one right here, full TP. If we trade within the range, I think we'll be fine, guys. I just need to establish the big range so we can kind of see where it's okay to trade at. I think at this point, the confluences aren't even going to be very important. I mean, they're going to be important, but they're not going to be super important, right? Because the thing is, it doesn't really matter where prices are projecting off. It matters that we're still within the range for our entries here. So this just goes to show that the strategy still works perfectly fine. You just have to adapt with the market. I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people. It's like they don't want to adapt or they don't know how to adapt with the market, that they keep taking losses. Not with my specific strategy, but just trading in general, right? Okay, so we've kind of identified where's our sweet spot to trade in. We can trade within this range, but we have to be able to establish the bigger range. So like the smaller range is okay, but we need to establish a big range and a smaller one within it. So we can kind of see if price pushes out of it, we're still okay because price can push up to this upper area here. And, if we have some sort of buy or sells around that area. I mean, even looking at this here, the red flags might not even be a big deal. They should be a big deal, but you can see here, there's all these entries that came up around the red flags, but they might be able to be disregarded in a sense because you're still trading within the range here. So just something to keep in mind, guys. There's again, there's nothing here to really work with at the moment. It's 7:45 right now. We have market starting to slow down. The ATR is currently at 21. If the ATR drops down to 20 or anything below 20, then I'm just going to wrap it up. There's just no reason to force any trades here at the moment. Let's see. Sam is looking for a liquidity sweep at 42,312. 42,312. Okay, I see. So he's trying to get it off this area right here. So yeah, it almost got there. So mine was a point below yours, Sam. I got my higher low right here. I'm gonna update my liquidity levels. I got pretty close. So this is going to be a pretty strong liquidity sweep area right here if it does come back down. All right, Tarek's done for the day. Nice work, Tarek, on your win today. He's going to wrap it up. So we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right, I guess we're going to see what happens here. But I mean, look, from the looks of it, looks like the market here is starting to slow down quite a bit. All right, we got price coming right back down to that area of liquidity below. See if that sweep happens right here. There's no entries here, so you guys can see that the momentum signals, they're not as prevalent as they are in the past. Like before, they would come up pretty often. Right here, they're not really coming up as often as they were before. So we have a sell signal here, price kind of pushed down a little bit. Um, there has been a retrace. I mean, there's been like these small consolidation pockets, but not like a full-on retracement. So like what I'm looking for here, what we've been looking for is, a little bit of a retracement and a continuation back down, of course. But we're just not really having that here at the moment. Let's see, Samson. No, now this is weird. With spreads, liquidity sweep may have already happened, so I'm not risking this trade anymore. Yeah, because technically it would have hit already right there, Sam. And it looks like, a sweep right here on this green candle. So I agree with you. That's why when you first said 43,312, I was looking at it and I was like, price was actually at 43,312 at this low right here. This is what established a new low for me. So we'll see how far did this come down from here. 15 points. Nice wick right there, though. There goes your sweep right there, Sam. Unfortunately, yeah. So I think the sweep would have been nice if, like, obviously with that big wick right there, that would have been a nice push to the upside. But, like you said, you played it smart, being careful about it. It was 25 points. All right, guys, about to be 8 o'clock right now. There's not really much else here to take. Um, The ATR is currently at 22, so it's below 25 right now. It's a bit slow. I think what's going to happen here is price may just consolidate for a bit, maybe until like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then we might get some directional moves as we get closer to like past lunchtime. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. There's a couple entries that came up, of course. If you guys took any of these, nice work. I didn't take any trades on my end, which is completely fine. I was being a little more conservative after yesterday's unfortunate loss. So we're just one loss for this week so far. A lot of wins here. If anybody took these, I probably could have recouped my loss if I took this trade over here, but this candle just didn't look very good on close. Yeah, Brock said good day for the team. Needs it to go past 43,380 for buys, but it's taking forever. Yeah, and Jarrell said he sat out as well. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, sometimes you just need a little reset. Like yesterday, we took that loss yesterday, which was unfortunately, it was a really good setup. It was just we got caught in the chop of the market. We got caught at the end of the range and it came right back down. Kind of similar to this trade right here, except it didn't actually push up. It like got up to a little bit and then it shot down right away. So yeah, we'll come back tomorrow, guys. Unfortunately, today was just one of those days where price was within this range. The good thing is that we're kind of able to identify the market structure now, right? We know that the market's going to be ranging back and forth. So pre-market, I'm going to mark up the ranges. I'm going to mark up the upper range, the lower range, and the mid ranges in between so that we can have some setup like this to identify where price is going. So with having that, we'll be able to trade within the range at least if we do get a setup like that. So. All right, guys, that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, for today, we had 4 wins, actually. We had the breakout hit full TP here. The breakout's actually been on fire this week. It won yesterday, it won today. And then we had a couple MPS V2s here that hit about 3 of them. So 1, 2, 3 right here. So if you guys want to go back and review the charts, I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of this. I'll just post it in the chat. Today's session setups. Yeah, because I know some of you guys want to like kind of study the entries and stuff, so I'll put that right there. And then I'll also forward this to the team chat. Barack said maybe it'll start moving after the live. That's typically what tends to happen, right? So we'll see. But all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, today was a pretty solid and decent trading session, I think, overall. We did mark up a couple of good entries. Unfortunately, I didn't get into any of these, but it's okay. We're gonna come back tomorrow fresh. I'll be a little more confident with the setups for tomorrow now that we have the range kind of in mind. And then we'll continue on with this week. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live.